All right, y'all. We're here in the building. My name is Johnny, and this is Live with Johnny. If y'all can hear me, let me know. If you can't hear me, let me know that too. Mic check, mic check. Y'all can definitely tap in. Y'all can leave y'all comments for a second. And yeah, I'm just here asking questions. Like, there's some things we got to talk about. We got to ask questions. We got to know. Can't just go without things being talked about. And I got to talk about it. Like, that's what I'm here for. Like, we adults. Like, if it was somebody else, if it was Biden or anybody else, y'all would want to talk about it. I'm doing the news. I have to talk about it. I don't know what y'all want me to do. So I'm not going to apologize because I didn't make it. I didn't do it. I didn't say it. I'm reporting on what's being said and what's being talked about. So don't get mad at me. Like, for real. If you want to support. If you don't want to support, that's cool. But don't expect me, be quiet. Shh. I'm a reporter. Shh. If something good happens, I'll report on that too. I'm not biased. But I gotta see something good happen. Hell. So with that being said, we got a video, man. We're gonna watch. And this interview is crazy, man. Like, imagine if you ask Obama like questions, he was like, man, I don't know. I really don't know. Y'all keep telling me or telling each other that, hey, just go with this thing. This tariff, it's going to be all over soon. But then she asked the man to his face, how long do you think this pain is going to last? And he say, I don't know. I have no clue. Then we're going to look at the fact that he don't really understand what a tariff is or a deficit. He don't understand how this whole thing works. He's demonstrated that time and time again. And this is no way, hey, and I don't know why I have to keep saying that, but I'm just laying down facts. If you want me to lie, you want me to be alternative, this is not the place for it. I'm just going to tell it as it is. So let's watch this video, man. This is crazy. Tell your people, my name is Johnny. Make sure y'all share this with y'all people. We definitely need more people to see this. Here we go.
Joe, I got an awesome one for you today. So in just a second, I have what might seriously be Trump's most demented interview yet in his full time on the public scene. So there's a lot to say about that. I'm kind of amazed that nobody's talking about the 25th Amendment at this point, given the clear slippage in his cognitive abilities. So we'll dive into that. We'll also talk about.
So it's not just. I'm not saying it. It's, everybody else is saying it.
Who is completely and utterly bought by the Israel lobby, and he is now threatening the life of not only all Palestinians but other Congress people too. And shocking fact here, this has been totally buried by the media. Nobody's talking about it. So I have a lot to say about that. Then we'll get to the head of the LA port is issuing a dire warning of potential economic collapse based on what he's seeing. The war on free speech in this country has officially gone nuclear. We have some updates from Australia's election. Australia's Trump was decimated in an anti-MAGA landslide. There's a segment here which is it should scare everybody who has to hop on a plane, because now we have air traffic controllers coming out and saying, hey dog, don't fly. Don't fly. It's not safe.
Americans don't go nowhere.
It's not safe. So we'll dive into that as well. And then later on in the show, Marjorie Taylor Greene turned on Trump. And I got some updates for you about Trump's Gestapo, also known as ICE. They are now trying, or they didn't try, they did it. They actually arrested a woman immediately after she gave birth. It does not get any lower than this stuff, man. So everybody do me a big favor. Please subscribe to the channel. That helps out massively and costs you nothing at all. And, of course, much love and appreciation to all of you who support the show on Patreon. Literally could not do without you guys. This is real independent media. You guys funded from the grassroots. We have your support, and we have the default ads on YouTube. I'm very proud of the fact I've never had a conversation with an advertiser in my over a decade of doing this show full time. I've never done an ad read, and you guys make that possible. So again, thank you for all the support. If you'd like to support on Patreon, that link is below. You could also tip with the thanks button on YouTube, or you could sign up for
make sure he gets shots out
on Substack for
everyone knows you need a lawyer after a car
so
but what if I told
we
you
go
what?
I'm gonna pay my little bill here and get some time. But
Crystal Kyle and friends.
Don't be laughing.
The other thing is,
all right, listen to what he's saying. So this is the interview right here. And I want y'all to see it, man.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and dive into it. So Kristen Welker was able to get an interview with Donald Trump. And I mean, man, the takeaway from this is nobody has ever lied more than this man lies. That's point number one. Point number two is he's in a hermetically sealed bubble where apparently the only people who are allowed to talk to him, it's not even people.
Nobody talks to him.
It's Stephen Miller, who of course is Trump's Goebbels. And so this interview was wall to wall, absolute insanity. And I'm going to walk you through it. So let's start with this one. This is at the beginning. Now, as you're listening to this, I want you to imagine if it was Joe Biden who said the same thing. What would the reaction be? Let's watch.
You want to see a deal.
I'd like to see it done. I have a little sweet spot in my heart because, as you know, I won young people by 36 points. That's a lot.
Watch it debunk
No Republican ever won young people, and I won it by 36 points, and I focused on TikTok.
Okay, let me just pause to point out that's a lie. He's not messing up. It's not a slip up. It's not an accident. He is lying, and he knows that he's lying. He's been saying this for so long now, and the fact that Kristen Welker didn't check him on it is absolutely embarrassing and humiliating, and it shows that Trump is graded on a curve and he's held to a lower standard than any other politician. Because the actual number, so there's two different studies that looked at it, or one was an exit poll, the other was a study, but a Tufts University study said that Kamala won the youth vote, which is basically 29 and under. Kamala won that by 4 points. But if you go by the exit polls, she won by anywhere from 11 points to 13
even more.
Points. In other words, there's
numbers
no
don't
way
even add
you can
up.
measure it. Wherein Trump won the youth vote by 36 points. That's completely and utterly and shamelessly made up.
That's crazy.
So right off the bat, this is the tone that's set for the rest of the interview. Just a shameless, disgusting, flat-out liar who's going to continue to lie through his teeth relentlessly. Guys, I'm at the point, I don't even know what the value is of interviewing him. I understand he's the president of the United States.
Listen,
I understand he's the most powerful person on earth.
I'm not being biased.
But every time he's in front of the camera, it is an absolute tsunami of utter horseshit. What's the point? Especially if you're not going to correct him when he says these things. I'm not done yet. This gets worse.
No Republican ever won young people, and I won it by 36 points, and I focused on TikTok. So perhaps I shouldn't say this, but I have a little warm spot in my heart for TikTok.
I have.
Look, he just changed the word twice.
For TikTok.
Listen.
He called TikTok Tic Tac. This is not the first time he's called TikTok Tic Tac. He's done it multiple times. Again, if this was Joe Biden, you would have 7 breaking news stories in your face right now explaining how he's not mentally fit, he's got to go, this isn't working out, he hasn't just lost 1 step, he's lost 12 steps. Now it's Trump, and this is not even a blip on the radar. In fact, the only place you're going to hear about this is right here on this show. We will be the only ones talking about this.
That's crazy.
Because again, he hits you with a tsunami of horse shit, so people have to pick and choose their battles. I don't do that. I don't have to do that. We'll fight all the battles. So apparently, some of these videos did not make it onto TV.
Listen to this.
So I guess they released an online version and they released a TV version. The TV version was edited. Now, is Trump going to sue because they edited his own interview? Because remember, he sued, what was it, CBS, because they edited a Kamala Harris interview? Are you going to sue now because they edited your interview? By the way they edited this absolutely made him look better. They kept this out of there. Now, maybe they kept this out of there because there's legal liability, because this is such a total fucking lie, but here we go.
You know, my 4 years were phenomenal, as you know,
Listen.
stock market. In fact, even though we had to go through the COVID thing, that horrible situation with COVID, we did numbers, and when I gave it over,
He lying.
the election was rigged, and I handed. And
He's
because
still
of that, we had
complaining
a lot
about
of
the
problems, by
election.
the way. But when I handed it over, what happened? The market was higher than it was previous to COVID coming in.
He's
Nobody could believe
lying.
it. Stock market, I'm talking about.
Bro.
I don't want to look back, but you did take your case to court about
Look, she
that.
treating him like a
You
child.
took your case to court
She know it's a lie.
about your allegations against the election. Let me ask you,
There's
sir.
no question about it. The election was rigged. The facts are in, and
She's like,
it's still
how?
being litigated. Let's go.
You did take your case to court more than 60 times and didn't win those cases.
I won a lot of court
Just
cases.
to button that up, though, sir.
They lost nearly every single court case.
That's crazy.
There was like 1 or 2
I
that they
remember
won. The
that
only
shit.
reason they won
He
it was
did.
on like procedural grounds. It had nothing to do with the substance. They lost almost every single of the 60+ court cases.
What are you talking about?
How
the election?
worried are you?
Are we talking about the election?
Let's
of
talk about
2020?
here and now. Let's talk about
The
here and
election
now.
of 2020?
Let's not talk about. Let's
Look!
talk about here and now.
What's the point of this?
Election
Why
of
can't he
2020.
interview?
2020.
I get it. He's the president.
Election
but
of
every time
2020.
he's
She don't wanna hear
interviewed,
about
he
that.
literally doesn't say a single thing that's true.
Oh my
I
god.
don't understand what the point is.
Bro.
Guys, how many times have we gone through this? Rudy Giuliani was running around declaring that the election was fraudulent. Then he got in front of a court and he literally said to the court, "We're not alleging fraud." Why? Because when you're in a court, evidence actually matters.
Yep.
Facts actually matter. You can't get away with being a slimy little weasel bullshitter. You also had the Arizona audit. They swore up and down they won Arizona. So Arizona did an audit, and they found out not only did Biden win, he ended up winning by more than what we thought he won by on election day.
Remember them ninjas?
None of this is true. None of this is true. I want to reiterate. What is the fucking
They
point?
spent
of
millions
doing
of
this
dollars.
If this is what it's going to be like.
Millions of dollars.
I know it
y'all.
sounds like a totally radical idea, but nobody should interview Trump anymore. Nobody should. Why? Why would you do it? Why would you do it? There's no reason to do it. All right, we're about to take a deep dive into the very few wrinkles of his brain, and what you're going to find out for the 400th time
It's
is that this
dangerous
guy
to lie that
has
much. It's
absolutely
dangerous,
no idea.
bro.
The state of Illinois faces a slew of lawsuits filed since
That's
more
what
than
he's saying
800
that. I'm
individuals
gonna
have
fast
come
forward it.
forward.
How trade works.
You're talking about this transition cost. How long should people expect that transition
Listen.
to last, Mr. President?
I can't tell you that. I can tell you that we're making a lot of money.
Now, how y'all saying the short term? He said, I can't tell
We're
y'all.
losing more than $5 billion
listen.
a day. $5 billion a day. You don't talk about that. And right now, we're going to be at a point very soon where we're making money.
So Trump people be like, yeah, we ain't gonna lose no more money. Listen.
How soon?
We were losing hundreds of billions of dollars with China. Now we're essentially
China.
doing business with China.
China.
Therefore, we're saving hundreds of billions of dollars. Very simple.
It is not very simple. He doesn't understand how trade works.
Listen.
He thinks it's zero sum. He thinks if we all spend billions of dollars collectively to buy TVs that are manufactured in China, that they're getting run over on us. And they're beating us, and we're getting nothing
We get
out
cheap-
of that.
cheap
No, the reality
stuff.
is we get the TVs. He really thinks if you have a trade deficit with another country, that they're screwing you over. That is not at all how this works.
That's crazy.
It's goods and services. You give them cash, and you get something material in return.
In return.
And obviously, the people who are buying a TV, they want to buy the TV.
We want that shit.
And so now he's bragging about basically having a total embargo on China and no trade with China. Well, as you're about to see, and we've been warned about this, very soon you're going to start seeing empty shelves at Walmart and Target and all these different stores.
We don't make
They do
TVs
a
over here.
tremendous amount of trade with China. Now, on the flip side, their exports, I think the U.S. is only, 13% or 14% of their exports? So they can make up for that loss. They can make up for it. Now, us, on the other hand,
We buy
we're just
everything.
screwed in a scenario like that. We are largely a consumer economy.
Always known
Because
that.
we're the world reserve currency, we were in this privileged position.
buy
and we ended up
everything.
getting a lot of cheap goods for people to purchase. Right? Well, now the cheap goods are going away. We've had massive inflation for housing, healthcare, and education. Massive inflation in those sectors. Well, now he's got no plan to fix that. So we're going to have massive inflation in that area and also massive inflation for consumer goods.
What a
We're just
plan.
about to get screwed. He has no idea how trade works. Nobody's ever sat him down and told him a trade deficit is not by definition a bad thing.
Oh my
It
God.
is not a bad thing. Oh my God, I'm going to lose it, bro. I'm still not done. So Trump repeated this line. I really think this line is going to go down in history. I really think Democrats could use this in attack ads from now until the end of time. Because here he is. And again, I want you to imagine if a Democrat said the thing that he's about to say. I want you to imagine the reaction. Here he is talking about what your children are entitled to.
You said, quote, I'm going to quote what you
We
said.
free, though.
Maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30.
We free.
And maybe the $2 will cost a
Yeah.
couple of bucks more than they would normally. Are you saying that your tariffs will cause some prices to go up?
No, I think the tariffs are going to be great for us because it's going to make us rich.
Immediately a contradiction. Again, what's the point of having this conversation? What's the point of this interview? There is no point of this interview. This is humiliating. This is embarrassing. Half the time he admits, yeah,
see
we're gonna have
that?
some temporary pain, the price is gonna go up, and then the other half of the time when somebody says that to him directly, he's like, actually, no, it's not even gonna make the prices go up at all. I don't even know what you're talking about. That's why he goes back and forth
crazy.
between tariffs are great for manufacturing, and then when he takes them off, he
Wow.
goes, are the deal. Tariffs are great for manufacturing. Oops, I wrote him back. Are the deal. You have to pick one.
Yep.
It's like
One side.
he really is like a toddler because there's no commitment to logic or consistency or reason. He just flip-flops like a fish fresh out of water with every time he opens his mouth.
But you said some dolls are going to cost more. Isn't that an acknowledgement
think-
that
Sure.
some prices
I don't
will
think
go
that-
up?
That don't make no
I think
sense.
A beautiful baby girl that's 11 years old needs to have 30 dolls. I think
gotta be
they
a
can
beautiful
have 3
baby girl.
dolls or 4 dolls. Because what we were doing with China was just unbelievable. We had a trade deficit of hundreds of billions of dollars with China.
We
When
bought
you
stuff.
say they could have $3 instead of $30, are you saying
say they don't need
Americans could
$30.
see empty store shelves?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they don't need to have $30. They can have 3. They don't need to have 250 pencils. They can have 5.
They don't need to have 250 pencils. They can have 5. They don't need to have $30. They could have 3. Again, imagine Barack Obama said this. Imagine Joe Biden said, if
That's sad.
Bernie Sanders said this, the CIA would have cooed him instantly. Instantly. But he says this, casually gets away with it. Right? This is an
It's coming,
insane
y'all.
thing to say. Because again, the one saving grace of this country for all these years, the one promise of neoliberalism that it delivered, is at least you're going to get cheap consumer goods. That was the one thing that Americans could hold on to. This country's being held together with duct tape and bubble gum. That was the one thing that was keeping it together. Because everything else, housing, healthcare, education, all the necessities, they are super fucking expensive. Now, he's destroying that too. He's destroying that too. And yet again, you get the idea that he doesn't know what a trade deficit is. He thinks deficit equals bad. If you think it doesn't get more absurd, holy cow, you got another thing coming.
Bye-bye
Listen
dollar
to this
store.
one.
When does it become the Trump economy?
It partially is right now. I think the good parts are the Trump economy and the bad parts are the Biden economy.
I think the good parts are the Trump economy and the bad parts are the Biden economy.
I just used the core progression plugin that should probably be in
That's
some of these
insane,
things
bro.
say-
I'm not sure we've housing, healthcare, education, all the
Rewind
necessities,
that.
they are super fucking expensive. Now he's destroying that too. He's destroying that too. And yet again, you
This-
get the idea that he doesn't know what a trade deficit is. He thinks deficit equals bad. If you think it doesn't get more absurd, holy cow, you got another thing coming. Listen to this one.
When does it become the Trump economy?
It partially is right now. I think the good parts are the Trump economy and the bad parts are the Biden economy.
I think the good parts are the Trump economy and the bad parts are the Biden economy.
That's crazy.
I'm not sure we've ever had a president with this low of an IQ before. And I mean that. You can go through the history of the United States of America, and there's not a single president that has this low of an IQ. To utter those words and not understand how immediately ridiculous you look. So you're going to take credit for the good parts and blame Biden for the bad parts, when, by the way, as everybody knows, anybody with a brain, of course, Trump did massive economic changes. He owns all of this. Whatever happens as a result of his drastic actions on using, a national emergency justification, that's on you, dog. Look, at this point, I said it before, I'll say it again. At this point, if you're left supporting him, you own this. You own all of this.
They believe him.
You don't get to weasel out of it later.
No.
To be like, oh, yeah, when everything went to shit. Yeah, then I realized it. No, everything's already shit. And that's why his approval rating is collapsing. He's in the 30s now. And, I think he'll bottom out maybe around 25, 26%. But, how can anybody watch this and go, yeah, it really is a personality cult really is the way to describe this. There's no other way around it. I mean, they have all other previous principles that the right claimed to have. They are no longer there. They support this guy over Christianity and their religion. They support this guy over Ronald Reagan and his ideology. He is the end-all, be-all. You got some people saying when Trump finally leaves this earth, there will likely be a religion that's created around him. I mean, again, I've never seen anything like it. Could you imagine anybody else uttering those words? The good parts are mine, the bad parts are the other. There's not even an attempt to break it down logically, using details. Here's why I own the good parts, here's why they own the... There's none of that, because he's coping. This is cope. This is immense cope. All right, ready? We got more, another tsunami of lies here.
Damn.
Prices are already going up on some
Listen to
popular
this.
items. Tires, strollers.
This is such a dishonest interview already. Prices are down on groceries. Prices are down for oil. Prices are down for all energy. Prices are down at tremendous numbers for gasoline. And let me tell you, when you have the big thing, what he did, he spent like a stupid person, which he was, but he spent like a very stupid person. And that was bad for inflation. But what really killed us with inflation was the price of energy. It went up to $3.90, even $4, and in California, $5 and $6, right? Okay. I have it down to $1.98 in many states right now.
What?
When you go that much lower on energy, which is ahead of my prediction, because I really thought I could get it down into the 250s. We have it down at $1.98 in numerous places.
That's a total lie. You can go look this up yourself.
Where's he living
the lowest
in?
Average gas price in this country is in the state of Mississippi, and it's $2.66. Oh, everything's going down. All these things are going down. Literally none of that is true. None of that is true.
It's $3.50 where I live.
And again, guys, I mean, I know this might come across as tedious, but at the same time, I really feel it in my heart and soul now. Nobody should be interviewing him. There's no reason. If the whole thing is him lying and bullshitting and then, being openly fascist, what is the point? There is no point to this. All right, this is one of the things that Trump says all the time, which drives me crazy, that Democrats don't really talk about it, the media doesn't really talk about it.
Look at Ray attorney. You know he's not telling the truth.
Here we go.
You and I talked, and I asked you if you would rule out military force to take Greenland, and you said no, you don't rule out anything. Would you rule out military force to take Canada?
Well, I think we're not going to ever get to that point. It could happen. Something could happen with Greenland. I'll be honest. We need that for national and international security.
But not
I
with
think
Canada?
It's highly unlikely. I don't see it with Canada. I just don't see it. I have to be honest with you.
So, interesting, backing off of the military threats against Canada. Why is that? Well, the speculation is Mark Carney, the new Prime Minister of Canada, who just won his election and destroyed Pierre Poilievre, who's the Trump candidate, he allegedly threatened the U.S. government and said, we will dump our U.S. bonds if you keep talking like that, which would make the dollar absolutely plummet. So I view this as further validation of that theory, because Trump would not back down unless he felt like the other side had a trump card, no pun intended. And they kind of do.
Wow.
They kind of do in this scenario. So there's that part. But the Greenland part, you heard him. Imagine any other president saying, maybe I'm not taking out the tip. Maybe military action in Greenland. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do that. This is a guy who half the time on the campaign trail pretended like Kamala Harris was a bigger warmonger than him. He would say, Liz Cheney is a disgusting. All she wants to do is shoot people. That's all she... Kamala Harris is a warmonger. She's just a warmonger. Here he is saying, yeah, maybe I'll invade Greenland and steal it. By the way, when I tell you that there's a certain percentage of TFGs, too far gones, who are in Trump's cult, where do I get those numbers from? I actually used this issue of Greenland because pollsters asked, should the U.S. steal Greenland? The low number was 26%, the high number was 33%. So somewhere in that realm are the people who will never, under any circumstances, abandon Trump. Because if you can rationalize militarily stealing Greenland, there's like literally no hope for you. There's no string of words I could put together, no matter how convincing and persuasive, to make you go, yeah, you know what, I think you're right. But I still haven't even gotten to the most devastating part of this interview.
Oh, wow.
Listen to this.
That's crazy. It's more. Yeah,
There's no excuses. There's so much potential. It's just you can get lost.
Hold on, I gotta. Fuck.
Like 18 hours, but I'm hitting the best
I don't know why.
plug-in right now.
Oh, okay, hold on.
As if Output Arcade couldn't get even more awesome, it can, because you can create your own custom kits with your own sample. Just drag it into Arcade, drop your samples here, boom, hit Generate Sampler, and within a matter of seconds.
All right, get that kit, y'all. It's dope.
It speaks for itself. Here we go.
Your Secretary of State says everyone who's here, citizens and non-citizens, deserve due process. Do you agree, Mr. President?
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Don't you need to uphold the Constitution of the United States as president?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I have to respond by saying again, I have brilliant lawyers that work for me, and they are going to obviously.
They laugh and say he's playing. He's not playing. You don't know.
First of all, they didn't do that. It was 9-0 that you have to facilitate the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who's an innocent guy who was incorrectly sent to the slave labor gulag concentration camp in El Salvador.
Wow.
That's point number one. Point number two, he just said, I don't know if we have to follow due process. I don't know if I'm supposed to follow the Constitution. You don't know? Look, everybody needs to understand something. He owns this. He owns all of this. The idea, and I've seen this spread around a lot recently, like, oh, he's just being misled by the people around him, and Stephen Miller is lying to him all the time. Look, that's partly true. That's partly true. But you think Donald Trump, a 2-term president of the United States of America, doesn't know that it's his obligation and duty and responsibility to follow the Constitution? Fucking of course he knows that. He's attacked Democrats by saying they don't even believe in the Constitution. They don't even believe in it. And then here he is. This is right up there with when he said, we need to terminate all rules, regulations, and articles in the Constitution to get me back in office. That's what remember when he said that after the 2020 election? He's like, look, they stole it, so terminate all rules, regulations, and articles to get me back in power. This is right up there with that. I don't know if I'm supposed to allow people to have due process. I don't know if I'm supposed to follow the Constitution. At this late date, look, if you can't admit that this man is a fascist, you're just a liar, right? It's not even like, at this point, you can innocently believe that. Like, oh, I'm just ignorant, I don't know the specifics, so I don't think he's... No. At this point, there is no excuse. If you don't think he's a fascist, you're just fucking wrong. You're just wrong. You're just lying. You're nefarious. You are nefarious in that scenario. You are evil in that scenario, and you support this. I don't know if I'm supposed to... Oh, you don't know if you're supposed to follow the Constitution. Again, I know I made this point like 7 times in this segment alone. But imagine if it was Joe Biden or Barack Obama or any Democratic president or any Democratic candidate who uttered those words. It would be on Fox News, hair on fire, breaking news coverage for fucking 4 days straight. They would never shut the fuck up about it. They would say, this disqualifies this person from being president of the United States. Here we are with Trump. What does he commit? 30 different crimes per day? Already committed so many impeachable offenses and criminal offenses? And there's not even any chatter of impeachment. This is not something the media talks about all the time. This is not something, not a single Republican has flipped on him to that degree where they say, you know what, I think he's got to go. But here he is, I don't know if I'm supposed to follow due process or the Constitution. You have got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. I got one more for you here. This is yet again, quiet part out loud. Listen to this.
And I want to know what you think about that. Are you comfortable with the country potentially dipping into a recession for a period of time if you are able to achieve your long-term goals?
Well, you know, you say some people on Wall Street say, well, I can tell you something else. Some people on Wall Street say that we're going to have the greatest economy in history.
That's a total lie. I don't know a single person on Wall Street who's saying, not a single person is saying that. Literally all of them are saying, oh, we're cooked. Now, you know what they're saying now? Now they're saying best case scenario is a recession. Best case scenario. Which begs the question, what's worst case? I think we all know what worst case is, and I think we all know that is more likely where we're heading. So that, yet again, flat out lie. There is no reason, there's no point in interviewing this man. Imagine what would happen. He would wilt away and then melt if he doesn't have a camera on him 24/7. Imagine if everybody in the White House press corps said, we're done traveling with you on Air Force One. We don't want to fucking cover your bullshit anymore. We're done even going to the events where the press asks the White House press secretary the questions. We're done with all that. We're gonna cover you the way you should have been covered from day one, which is objectively, not neutral, not like, oh, both sides, and let's talk about both sides and criticize both sides, and aren't they like the same? We're not gonna do false equivalence. We're not gonna do neutrality. We are gonna do objectivity, which is telling the truth no matter what. And if you are telling the truth about this regime, you have to say they are 100% fascist. There's no way around it. No ifs and buts about it. They lie relentlessly. They are fascist, and they are doing a robber baron coup, and it's the most corrupt regime in American history. And so, guess what? That might require more distance from the press, where they can start telling the truth more. Every single one should back out, never interview him again, never talk to him again, and we should immediately start the impeachment proceedings, and we should do a full court press in the media explaining the detailed reasons why this guy can't remain in power. Here he is yet again, lying through his teeth. Oh no, some people on Wall Street say actually everything's great. Oh, do they? Oh, do they say everything is great? Just like how unemployment is skyrocketing and prices are going up and shelves are about to be fucking empty. By what definition is that great?
Why don't you talk about them? Because some people on Wall Street say this is the greatest thing that ever happened.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at, though. It's the same question.
Yeah, there are many people on Wall Street say this is going to be the greatest windfall ever happened.
And that's my question.
Remember
the
this.
long term.
Yeah.
Is it okay in the short term to have a recession?
This. Look.
Even this question drives me crazy. Like assuming the best possible scenario in order to ask him what's effectively a softball. Oh yeah, even if there is short-term pain, is it worth it in the long run? Well, gee, Kristen Welker, I wonder what he's gonna say to that. All right, here we go, one more time.
And that's my question,
Remember
the
this.
long term.
Yeah.
Is it okay in the short term to have a recession?
This. Look, yeah, everything's okay. What we are, I said, this is a transition period. I think we're going to do fantastic.
So he says, yeah, everything's
That's
okay.
crazy.
When asked, is it okay to have a recession? Yeah, everything's okay.
Jermaine struggled for years with dental issues
That's
before
crazy.
finally finding Nuvia. Most after his smile makeover.
No, pass a little bit more. We're going to watch a little bit more.
Any other president, no matter which party they're in, if the United States economy craters and we go into a recession, they spend all day, every day, 24/7, talking to experts, figuring out what's the best path forward. How do we alleviate the pain for the American people? What's our way out of this? How much stimulus do we do, right? What do we do with the tax system? What should the Fed be doing at this moment? Any president with bare minimum competence, at the very least, sees the problem, recognizes the problem, and tries to come up with a way to address it. We might not agree with how they end up addressing it, but their focus on that
This
problem
is the biggest thing.
yeah, a recession's okay. So in other words, when we start seeing the horror stories, as we already are, by the way, but they're going to get worse, of the empty shelves and all the people getting laid off and the collapse of global trade and all the truckers losing their jobs,
They told us this. Canada told us
retail
this.
losing their jobs. When we start seeing that, this is going to be his reaction. His reaction is good. Everything's fine. Everything's okay. Everything's actually great. I don't know what you're talking about. There's no problem here. He's gonna pretend like everything is hunky-dory and everything is going smoothly, and don't worry, if you're experiencing any problems, it'll be short-term. By the way, when the shit hits the fan, it's not like in the Trump era, well, it's okay because people will be able to go get their unemployment. Old people will be able to rely on their Social Security. Lower income people, they'll be able to rely on their Medicaid because they're cutting all that too. So no social safety net, full austerity, plus the private market imploding. This is a perfect storm for a worst case scenario and pain the likes of which we haven't seen since the Great Depression in this country. And the entire time, this is why I call him a right-wing postmodernist. What does that mean? Being a postmodernist means he doesn't believe in objective empirical truth. He believes in my truth. He believes in the power of narrative and story and perception more than he believes in the world of facts. And so he twists everything to his own ends. And so he'll look at that and just rationalize it and justify it. Actually, things are great. Actually, things are wonderful. You just wait. This is going to go great. This is going to go amazing. Man, we've never been in a position this bad in modern American history. I can say that for sure. And again, I want to reiterate this point because it's super important. There is no reason to be doing this. There's no reason. What's the point of an interview if literally 100% of the words that come out of his mouth are just lies? What's the point?
Shit crazy, man.
At some point, it becomes untenable to even, if you're the one sitting across from him, literally fact check every single thing he says. It becomes tedious. You start to look annoying. Then you have to worry about the optics.
So you kind of know where he's getting at, but that's crazy, man. Like, I don't know what to say, man. We in for a real fucking ride.